Okay, today I'm out here with McCall's local legend, Jamie Laidlaw. We are hiking up Jug Mountain, and yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, off to a good start.
Off to a great start.
You gotta make like an angry moose. Just put your head down and go.
You have many notable first ski descents and expeditions, but how did you get into ski mountaineering?
In all honesty, accidentally. It's never something I really aspired to. I grew up skiing here in McCall, was a ski racer, did okay at that, but was never destined for greatness at that. I went to college in Vermont, raced there, but when I was done, I moved to Salt Lake and started ski patrolling at Snowbird, and I had some really good friends there and just fell in love with backcountry skiing. We ended up deciding to go to Alaska and doing a trip up there, and we were able to climb and ski all sorts of things, and then we actually ended up skiing from Mount Fairweather back to Haines, which I think ended up being around 120 miles. I think that trip right there opened our eyes to ski mountaineering, and that, wow, this is something that we might actually be okay at.
Okay, so you've designed 2 pairs of skis for Dinafe, right? The Chugach and the Hokkaidos?
I have, yeah.
So when you are out, say on Jug Mountain, how does that, your design background, how does that change the way you look at terrain?
I think it changes your relationship with skiing, and just the fact that even if conditions aren't that good, you're always thinking about something. And so you're always thinking about, well, how's the ski performing in this condition? What am I feeling it doing? What would I rather it be doing? I think the more other interests you have in the sport, you're never gonna get skunked and have a bad day, right? Even if the conditions suck, you go out and have a good time and geek out on skis, snow conditions. I think that's been a welcome change for me as I've grown older and matured a little more, that I have a little more well-rounded relationship with the sport and the activity.
Ski mountaineering inherently kind of has a high risk threshold, as you know.
Yeah.
And I didn't really understand or accept this until recently. I caused 2 avalanches in the last 8 months.
Oh wow, nice.
And that was kind of
nice, but I mean, good experience.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're okay.
It was definitely a wake-up call.
Holy.
Now I really understand and respect bringing the right safety gear and checking the forecast. Was there an experience in your ski career that made you understand and accept that risk?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. My first real experience when I was patrolling at Snowbird. Between Snowbird and Alta, there's a mountain called Baldy. The backside of that mountain goes into Mineral Basin, and there's this area called the Chamonix Chutes. And we were gonna open that terrain for the first time that season. Despite there having been no avalanche activity for a few weeks, and they had run control routes on those very slopes that morning, I went out with some fellow patrollers to open the terrain, and what happened was there was a lot of overcast conditions for that previous week. And then as we were hiking out the ridge, the sun came out for the first time in a long time. And all that radiation created creep in that surface snow. And then on the third turn, the entire slope released. I blew out my knee, and all the snow was rushing, and it was pouring over this cliff beneath. And I had to try and self-arrest, and I had to fight my way right and try and get above the chute that I was gonna try and dogleg into, and ended up tomahawking through that with a blown out knee, and was super lucky. Some other eye-opening experiences, I've lost probably 3 pretty good friends to avalanches, and at least half a dozen good friends just in the ski mountaineering world. So I think just that risk management just became kind of crystal clear, and just how important it is. So I've thought about it, and I've heard a couple places that ultra running or
ski mountaineering or these solo sports, they seem to be inherently selfish activities because you're pretty much doing them for yourself. And I like to think that with my content creation and like putting out videos for people to enjoy, that it makes it less selfish because then I'm sharing the experience with others. What for you has made this not a solely selfish endeavor?
That's a great question, and I love it because this is actually a debate my old ski mountaineering partner Chris Erickson and I used to have a bunch, because I mean I honestly do view it as a more of a selfish endeavor, especially when I'm going into these developing countries and companies are paying tens, like that last Lhotse trip. You know, I think the North Face put up like $70,000 or something for that trip. But I think for me, one of the there's a couple reasons. I think there reached a point at which I wasn't willing to take the risks in the sport for more personal growth. And as such, and because I viewed it as a little more selfish activity, if I wasn't kind of growing anymore through pushing myself, then it became more of just a pleasure trip, and that felt too selfish for me, and so I kind of faded away from it. I still get out and I still enjoy it on very selfish terms, but it's on so much smaller scale with so many fewer resources, and so, yeah.
Why do you think that you keep coming back to this sport? I mean, ski mountaineering is it's not easy. Like, there's not a lift. It's pretty brutal, and you know, you hike for hours and you ski for minutes. Why do you think you are attracted to that?
I think because I'm attracted to the entire process now. I love the hiking, you know, and that's as much a part of the process as the skiing is for me now. I mean, when I started, that wasn't the case at all. And I think as I spent more and more time outside doing it, and the more experiences you have, the more you find enjoyment out of the little things you see along the way and the dialogues you have in your own head or with your partners and whatnot. And over time, that just becomes more of the experience. And so, yeah, and that's and I don't push myself in the same way that I used to, but I still do love a Sufferfest, and I love pushing myself and seeing that I can still push myself to a certain extent. And it doesn't have to be risking life and limb in any way. I just love the process, you know, whether it's big mountains, small mountains. I think that's what's awesome, is because the mountains aren't getting any bigger, and so if you love the process, there's a lot more longevity in the sport. So I just want to do this as long as I can. We used to call ourselves, we had a joke with my friends that we did that Fairweather trip, and we called ourselves the Suffer Sluts. So